As you've probably seen by the title, this is going to be a Festool TS55. It's not an in-depth review. First off, let's start off by saying that. If you want specs, I'm not your man. Been using it for about 2.5 years now. So, had quite a bit of time with the saw. I didn't just buy it yesterday. Let's get right into it. Bought this at Woodcraft, like I said, 2.5 years ago. $660. So, of course, I'm going to start off by saying it's not cheap. I understand. I completely understand. But any track saw, you need to get you one if you're on the fence about it, because it makes your life so much simpler whenever it comes to breaking down sheet goods. I use it a lot of times in cutting down tables. I've used it in custom furniture making. It's great. First off, it's in a sustainer, of course, like most of the Festool tools come in. So, you open it up, shows a nice layout of the tool itself, how it goes in, the box. Tells you right there how it should go, where it should go, all the accessories for it go underneath. It also has product numbers of the blades, product numbers of some of the like the rail and the splinter guard thing. Here's how it lays in there. One of the things that I think they could have done a better job with is the cord. They leave you a lot of room in here to put the cord, don't get me wrong, but there's not really a dedicated spot for it. This will kind of be my only gripe about the saw, you'll see here in a little while. But anyway, proprietary end right here for Festool. Plug it. Yeah, it's great. I think that's a little ridiculous. Alright, let's get it out. Here it is. Oh, I don't clean it off every time. It's pretty clean right now. It's got a little bit of dust on it. Oh, there it goes down in the plug. That's great. But anyway, I do use my tools for what they're intended to do. I don't abuse them, I use them. Two different things. Just remember that. The setting I use this in, of course, is a shop setting. I have used it on installs. It's really handy, for cutting down doors. I actually made a set of like baby gates. Getting into it, of course, you got your little thumb release up here. That's what allows the blade to drop down. Right now I don't have it set very deep. About the deepest I've ever cut with it is probably about 2 1/4, something like that, and it does great. This saw, of course, is in millimeters, so I would, if you want to get really precise with it, I would advise getting a millimeter tape, metric tape. It's even numbers, it's easy to subtract, add, things like that. But for most general purpose stuff, I just use my regular imperial stuff. Depth, there's your angle, really easy to do. Undo that knob, undo this knob on the back side, tilt the saw, you get it. It's pretty precise on that. It's got a -1 increment, so you can go -1 past 0, which is kind of neat. If you're wanting to join stuff, I don't cut a lot of angles on this. If I'm going to be doing a lot of angle stuff, I do go back to the table saw. I'm not saying there's not a use for the table saw after you get this. There is. There still is. I'm sorry. Fast fix for your blade deal here to lock it out. Of course, you've got your track. These are your tensioners on it. You turn those to get more tension on your track. You want it to where it's snug, to where it's not sitting on there and going side to side just for precision. But you don't want it to where you gotta really, bear down on it to push, because if you're like me and this is real world application, it's not something that I'm like, I follow safety precautions, but I don't clamp my track down. It's got the little grippy things right here on the bottom. That grips pretty good as long as you keep them cleaned off. So I just lay it on there and go with it. It's got the places in the bottom of the track where you can clamp it. I just don't clamp it. I don't even have the clamps. Anyway, back to the saw. You've got your different speeds. I leave it cranked wide open. I don't see the point in playing with the speed. Honestly, you wouldn't even hardly have to sand with the finish this leaves on the cut. It's that good. Now, granted, that's a good blade, but there's no tear out per se, especially with, if you got a good blade in it. It's really, and I'm sitting over here looking at a table. I know y'all can't see that, but anyway, because I just now cut this table down. Of course, it's got the dust collection port that swivels back and forth. It goes a full 360 around. It can't do that because of this knob right here. And sometimes that's another gripe, is if they would have cocked or tilted this up just a tick more, I'm sure there's some kind of, why they couldn't, but it wouldn't even get caught on that at the 0 degree angle. You see how that's getting caught? It could freely spin. Just a little gripe, not that big of a deal. Most of the time mine stays out to the side like that, or straight down if I don't have the dust collection hooked up, which here lately, I have not been hooking up dust collection, just because of time. So there's that. Here's the biggest gripe for the saw right here. You go to plug it up, you got your proprietary plug, which some of them got the little nipple on the top for different tools because they're heavy duty, whatever. I think that's ridiculous too, Festool, but hey. So you got to plug it in down here at the bottom of the housing of the saw, at the bottom of the handle. Well, it's great if you've got like small hands and this, that, and the other. And it's great if it's warm out and you don't have gloves on, or you've got it wore in, things like that. I mean, like I said, this has been used, so it's not as tight as it used to be, but it goes in and then it twists to lock. It's great because it don't pull out. However, Festool, dude, people, what the flip did, look how close this is. I mean, I don't have like big hands, I don't have small hands either, but to literally get this thing in here and turn it with your fingertips, even with mine being used for 2 years or so, it's still like tough. It's just pointless to me. Like, why did you do that? Like, bring this up a little bit more, put it out the end of the handle. I'm sure it's because they don't want it to let it grab on the track because it's cocked out to the side now. That's great, but it's a pain. That's my biggest gripe about this saw. And then you're going to figure out the other one about the sustainer here in a minute. But anyway, biggest gripe about it is that right there, that plug-in. Not to mention it stays, it's not fixed to the saw, so you got to undo it constantly, redo it. Yeah, you can leave it attached, but then you're bending your core whenever you put it back in the sustainer. Wears it out quicker. I don't do it. I just leave it unplugged, put it in there, plug it back in. Yes, I deal with that pain every time I use a saw. As far as power of the saw, let's see, that's what I'm saying. You always hit your knuckles on the day on the base of the saw too, whenever you're gonna do it. As far as power of the saw, let's throw this out of the way. It's all right. I've noticed, I just keep this, I'm just gonna call it a utility blade for lack of a better term. The do-all blade. I keep it in there. I don't change out my blades between a rip saw and this blade and this, that, and the other. No. It does everything. It cuts the milling, it cuts the rip, it cuts the cross, it does everything. It's just the way I am. So, with that being said, whenever you go to do a rip with this thing, especially in thicker material, whether it be, it doesn't really have a problem in plywood. The biggest problem whenever I can, feel it bogging down is whenever I'm doing a rip cut in in something like a tabletop that's pretty thick, or a door that's made of hardwood. Poplar, it cuts through pretty good. You can still feel the strain of it. Pine, of course, about the same. Whenever you're doing like oak or a walnut, you've really got to slow down with this thing, especially with this blade in it, because it does bog it down. I'm not saying it locks it up, it gets it hot, this, that, and the other. I'm just saying you've got to realize what you're cutting through, the depth of it, and then kind of push accordingly. It's not that big of a deal, you just have to realize it. So, can't really complain about the power of the saw. I never have, like some people say with Festool stuff, they've like smelt, the motor of it whenever you first, use it, or you first get it out of the box. I never did have that with this. I did have it with my Domino. It's got the little hex thing in here to change out your blade, keeps it right here in the handle. Handy. Go to sustainer, because I'm going to tell you about this thing too. It's great. I like sustainers. Application wise, they're great. They make it easy to carry it in and out. If you're not using it in the shop setting, using it out in the real world, it's great, easy. You can stack them, carry multiple tools at one time. Love it. However, the bottom of this thing, this one looks in pretty good shape, so it's not really a good scenario to show you. But anyway, they're not the most heavy duty. So in other words, contractor wise, if you're using this out on the job site, you're not going to throw this in your trailer. You're not going to throw this in the back of your truck and expect it to survive very freaking long, because they are light duty. They are meant to be handled like a flower. is what I like to say sometimes. So I know that, I treat accordingly. However, they could be beefed up, especially around the corners and the bottom, because I've already busted out 2 of my sustainers, and that was in the shop. First off, one of them was the domino sustainer box. It has all the dominoes. That's so cute. You know, you got to buy all this crap. Anyway, fell off the side of the workbench. Wasn't even full of dominoes, and fell kind of like that and cracked the whole corner out of it. But it could be a little bit heavier duty. It's not like it's a Milwaukee pack out box. You're not going to throw this thing. You're not going to pitch it. It's not the most heavy duty. As far as compatibility with the other Festool stuff, it's great. Like I said, you can stack them by turning a little lever thing here. I like it. I've actually used it. You can use it as like a workbench if you're somewhere. If you need to prop something up, you can stack them to get your preferred height. It's great. So I'm not knocking it, but I'm telling them where they can improve, or where, just to make sure you don't bust yours like I bust mine. It's a box. It's a glorified toolbox. It is what it is, and they're expensive too to replace. I think they could have got a little bit heavier duty. So on the tray part in here, down the bottom, that's just like molded plastic, like literally like vacuum molded plastic. You're not going to drop the saw in this either and expect it to kind of hold up all that great, especially like in the cold. If you keep this box, it stays in a shop about 90% of the time. Honestly, the saw does, and it's heated and cooled for the most part. But I could imagine that, having this in a trailer somewhere, or contractor-wise using it in the field, having it in a cold trailer or cold truck, and then, busting it out and putting it back in there, I would say you're going to have problems out of it. Just because I'd say over time it's going to get pretty crumbly. But, hey, I don't know. This is 2 years on it. I would definitely recommend this saw to anybody that's looking for a track saw. If you got any questions about it, I'll try to answer them. We're going to be putting out a lot more content this year. And if you stuck through the video this long, I really appreciate it. Let me know if you've got any other comments, questions, or concerns about it. Safety first. Norma be proud. If you don't know who Norma is, look that up. All right, let's go. Got it plugged in over here without dust collection. You're going to see how much you get. I got my depth down to about 34. It's not going to go all the way through to the table. That's another good thing. So always start it out before you get into the cut. And then, go ahead and plunge it, push it through. Don't try to start it up here and plunge it unless you absolutely have to. They're going to say not to do that, but some applications you do that. So here we go. You can kind of see here how much dust you get from it. So let me hook it up to the back. My guide clamped down. So I just rely on the pressure of the saw, and then make sure I'm not, doing this number with it or nothing, just going straight back and forth on it. So I'll hook in the dust collection. Like I said, this is the only other problem with it. Hope you can see this, is I don't have the ramp on the end of my guide here. So this hose will actually get hung on it because mine don't have the sleeve either. But what I always try to do is just try to pull this hose and point it out to the side like this of whatever I'm working on. Same goes with this. I don't try to pull it over the top like that. Either put it on the back side or put it, usually I put it where the hose is at. Alright, probably saw hardly any dust. Festool's great on their dust collection, but there's not any perfect system out there. So just keep that in mind. So now I'll flip this around. Again, put my hose over here, that way it don't get stuck on the end. Let's do a little rip cut. So, as you can see, I didn't go fully through that, but I wanted to kind of push it a little bit quicker. That way, I hope you heard the saw kind of bog down a little bit. So, I figured I'd end this video with kind of the review with that, so that way you could see, real life application with it. It's not really a noisy tool as well. And we appreciate you tuning in for the video. Look forward to seeing y'all again.